Hello everyone and welcome back to another Tumbler tutorial on my channel. In this video I'll be showing you guys a Hocus Pocus tumbler that I did. As you see now on the screen, I'm using Silhouette Studio. Both of these images I was able to download through purchasing. I got the witches from Etsy, and then I got the candle image from I can't remember the name, so I'm not gonna say what it is, the website. So I think I'm just gonna find it and put it in the description box for you guys. But I was able to find this image and I'm so happy because I at first was going to do the black flame like everyone is doing, but I kind of wanted to make it different, so I went ahead and Google searched it for a little bit and was able to find it on a website, and I think it was like $2 or $3. I want to say $3 for the image. So yeah, I'll put it in the description box for you guys. And if you've watched my tutorials before, you already know that I always get out a square and size it according to the skinny tumbler that I will be using. So with this one, I will be doing a 20 ounce, which means my square will be about, I think, 9.5 wide and 8 long. So I do want it to be a half and half tumbler. So I'm just going to be adjusting these pictures to make sure that they both fit really good on here. I don't want to stretch them too much, but with the candle image, I will be kind of squeezing in and stretching, which you won't even be able to tell. I think it looks fine the way that it is. I tried to see what it would look like stretching out the witches, and all the characters, but I didn't really want to squeeze them in too much. So I would rather kind of size down the candle versus doing the witches. So here I just pulled out another shape just to see how big to make it. And it's just half of the square that I already have out. So it's just a rectangle that I did that was, I believe, like 4.75 by 8, which is the length. I just wanted to make sure that those images fit in there perfectly good. And now I'm just going to go ahead and print since they are the size that I want them to be. So we will be mirroring this image because we will be putting it on a black surface. So I'll be using alcohol ink on the back of it because the paper that I will be using is a clear, transparent paper from Hiipoo, and I will be including that in the description box, as well as the opportunity to download some coupons. This paper is only about $14 off Amazon. And I will be including a discount code in the description box so that you guys will be able to get this Waterslides paper for 30% off. And then with any coupons, it'll be 40% off, and the paper will end up being about $8, which is a pretty great deal for 20 sheets of paper. What I'm doing here now is I wanted to cut out vinyl to make sure that it covers half of the cup. So I kept that rectangle 4.75 in width. And kept the length the same. Well, I kind of shortened the length up a little bit because I don't need a whole sheet of vinyl to be cut out. So I wanted to use that as reference when it comes to measuring. Now, I do have a measuring tape that I do usually use when I measure my cups, but I honestly am not the greatest at reading the lines and everything. I know, of course, the numbers and then the half points, but to read 4.75, I just was like, let me go ahead and just cut a piece of vinyl out and place it on the cup, which you will see, and it will help you tape off that half of the cup. So now I'm going to create lines that I'm going to put vinyl down on the side of the cup. Of course, once again, using the square tool and making it 0.2 by 8. I'm going to put this vinyl down on the size of the cup to create like a division or separation between both sides. And then I'm going to also layer it. So I'm going to do another vinyl on top of that one. You guys may have seen that when people do striped cups or split cups, you can put vinyl down the center, whatever direction you're going, and then put another one right on top that's a little bit thinner than the one that you're putting behind. It's kind of creating an offset look, pretty much. So I'm going to do the wider one, a holographic purple, to kind of go with the whole theme of the actual, colored image, and then I'm going to put black on top of that. I didn't want to do too much of like, bright colors. You can do whatever colors that you want to do, because I will be adding some glitter that matches the image as well, and I believe the purple and the black go really well with that side of the cup. I duplicated the squares, and I'm just making one of them a little bit longer than the other because we do have to wrap it around the bottom of the cup as well. So I went ahead and added a few more inches to the height and made it 11 instead of the 8. Okay, so I have the images printed out, and this is the Hiipoo paper. The colors are very vibrant, as you can see. I'm using a clear gloss spray. I just wanted to show you guys another option. I've run out of my actual Rust-Oleum spray before. I do highly recommend this one, 110%. You spray it every 10 minutes. You actually, make sure that you completely cover everything, and then all you have to do is wait 10 minutes in between sprays, and you only spray it 3 times. I usually spray it extra. I'll do it like one more time just to be 100% sure that the ink won't run. Have I done it 3 times before? Yes, I have, but I'm over cautious when it comes to water slides, and I know a lot of people can feel me on that, because if once you mess up a water slide, you have to reprint and go through the full steps of respraying. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. You cannot overspray, but you can underspray. So it's no problem with spraying multiple times. If you want to do more than 3, you can do 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. But I just wanted to show you guys this other option. I've run out of clear spray and not wanting to go to the store because, I live at Walmart buying sprays all the time. I use this as well. I also recommend this spray for glitter. So if you're adding any glitter to the cup, which I probably will be, this is a good spray to seal in the glitter so it doesn't move. But this is also good for spraying or sealing in your water slide paper. But today I'm just going to be using the Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And then you just want to make sure that you're not heavily close, because you don't want it to create any runs or be too heavy on the paper. So if you stand up and spray, you should be good to go. And I usually go over it twice, and then I wait 10 minutes and come back and spray. Okay, so now you can see that my cup is already white and I filled it with some fast set resin, or actual, liquidy splits is what it's called, by KS Resin. And that is the piece of vinyl that I did put on the cup. I'm using this, of course, as a reference to know how big or how wide to make that tape that I will be sectioning off to spray paint the other side of the cup black. So I feel like this is a really good tip for those who may not necessarily have, measuring tape or know how to read it, or it's just a quick little reference tool that you guys can use to tape off one side of your cup. Okay, so now that half of my cup is spray painted black, it's still a little wet, so I'm going to go ahead and add my glitter on there. This is also a very good tip. While your paint is wet, it is a good idea to go ahead and add glitter if you want to add that glitter. I'm doing a purple and also the green. I got these glitters from AliExpress. I believe I got them like a few months ago. I've used them here and there, not too much. I got these two plus I believe another color or so, and with shipping everything, it was only about $14. Of course, with AliExpress, it does take like a month to get here, but I didn't need it right away anyways, and it wasn't really for this cup. I just wanted to buy some glitters just to see what it would, test them out, other than just buying from Etsy or, from our craft stores. So I am in love with how this green looks on this black. I'm just going to put it around the top and around the bottom of the cup and the sides so that the image can go right in the middle. I'm doing this just to kind of give this side of the cup a little bit more pop, because we'll be adding some drip on the other side of the cup with the candle. So I wanted this side to kind of have its own little taste as well. So now that I have sealed my glitter with the Mod Podge spray that I showed you earlier in the video, I'm now going to seal it with some liquidy splits. This usually dries within 3 hours. It's great. It really is. I've used DIY epoxy fast set as well, and theirs are usually 4 hours. Sometimes I give it like an extra hour just so it's not exactly tacky, but this works so good. Like, it's amazing. It really is. And as you saw a couple seconds ago, I was wiping my silicone stirrer off with a baby wipe. So if you are mixing resin, a very good tip is to use something in silicone or metal to stir your resin. Do not use any wood because that creates more bubbles. And then to reuse that same item, whether it's the metal stick or the silicone stirrer, wiping it clean with a baby wipe makes it new again, pretty much. So you're not having to sit it in anything or peel off any resin. Just wipe it while it's still wet, and then you're good to go. Another thing is, if you have taped off your cup and you spray painted and you see maybe some areas that may have gotten a little bit over across the line, like the black is bled a little bit over, you can't really tell too much, but I wouldn't stress about it because we are adding those stripes down the middle of the cup. And then you're also probably wondering why my resin had a little bit of orange in it. So I put in a orange pigment powder. It's glow in the dark, so it'll go from orange to like a yellow color. I wanted to do that to make the candle kind of glow on that side. I randomly thought about it after I had already spray painted it black, and obviously it's not affecting the color of the black at all. It is making the white a little bit orangey, which is fine because once the Waterslide goes on top, it'll blend right in there and actually make it glow like I wanted it to. But when I go to make more orders from this cup, because I'm manifesting some orders for this cup, I'm pretty sure I will get some. I will definitely put that resin on the cup first. So I will spray paint the cup all white, and then the liquid split that I will put on to seal that white, I will use that pigment glow in the dark then. But either way it go, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's not affecting the black side of the cup at all. It does kind of make it glow a little bit at night, but you do have to use UV light or UV rays from the sun to activate the glow. So I definitely wanted to make sure that the glitter had extra resin covering it, so that's why I kept going over it more than once, and of course making sure that you get the bottom. I did add a little bit of glitter on the black area on the bottom of the cup as well. And of course you do want to make sure that you pop those bubbles with your heat gun. A lot of people use a torch. I'm a little too scared to use a torch. It kind of, I don't know why, it just flames and fire. I don't know. It kind of scares me. It gives me a little bit of anxiety. Even though I did end up buying a torch, I was like, I don't know if I want to use it. So right now I'm just gonna use my heat gun to pop any bubbles that may come up. So in addition to making this cup, I wanted to make a straw topper. I got this this flame straw topper from Amazon. So I'm using the resin that I had left over from doing the glow, and I'm gonna just put it right in the middle of that flame. So I'm not gonna do the entire flame just yet because of course I'm gonna add black, but I'm just putting in that glow in the dark right in the middle. So don't judge me. I've never used this mold before. Have I used molds before? Yes, but I didn't even take the time to measure out how much I would necessarily need for this mold. I just went ahead and jumped into me just having extra and not wanting my resin to go to waste, but it was starting to get a little hot because it had been 15 minutes. It usually is 15 minutes with fast set resins of the working time, so it was starting to get a little bit sticky, but I wanted to try to hurry up and try to get that in there as fast as I could. I probably will use a dropper next time for anybody that wants to do this mold. I thought that's a good idea because you can kind of get those corners in a little bit better versus the way that I did it, but I don't have a dropper, but I will definitely be getting one to create more of this straw topper. Okay, so this is the paper that I've used, the Hiipoo Waterslides decal paper. 20 sheets. It tells you it's an inkjet. It is clear, and then on the back it gives you those instructions that tells you how to print, what side to print, how long it'll take you to spray, which is the 10 minutes in between, and how many times to spray. This paper works really good, and it's definitely my go-to paper now. $13 for 20 sheets is pretty good. So now that my water slides are sealed with my clear gloss spray, I'm now going to add my alcohol ink to the back of this image. I'm sure people have probably seen this image used hundreds of times for Halloween cups, and Courtney Customs actually created a video showing people how to use spray paint on the back of this image if you wanted to put it on a dark cup. I have used spray paint with the same exact image when I did a smaller cup, but this time I wanted to use alcohol ink. You can use either one. I do believe the alcohol ink gives you a little bit more control because you're doing it by hand, and you're getting to decide of which areas get covered, how much it gets covered. So I do think the alcohol ink is my go-to now versus the spray paints. So my only thing is, now watching this back and everything, I definitely would do more than one layer of the alcohol ink on the image. It did come out pretty good, but to darken it or make sure that everything shows up pretty good, you do want to do a couple layers. So you would do one layer of alcohol ink, wait for it to dry, which alcohol ink dries pretty fast anyway, and then you can add another one on there. So I'm just cutting off any extra white. You don't want to get it completely close to the image. You do want to leave some room there. It is transparent, so you don't have to worry about any of that white showing up. I did end up having a little bit of white on this image, which was fine with me, but you could have cut it, you know, if that happens to you, you can cut it with an X-Acto knife if you don't want any white, or you can blend that white area with some black alcohol ink on the cup. So now I'm going to start putting that alcohol ink on a sponge brush. You can get these brushes from the dollar store or Walmart. I'm sure I probably got it from Walmart. And then this alcohol ink came with a bunch of other colors I got from Amazon. It came with like 3 whites and then a bunch of different colors. So I have a lot of these white ones kind of sitting around. So now that both of my images are ready to go, I filled my bin up with, this is more of like a tray. I got it from Target. They have these trays in their dollar section. It was $3. So I got a few of them. I keep some leftover vinyl pieces in one of them, which is pretty great. Just more storage. But now I'm just gonna cut off the candle portion and stick it in the water. The water is lukewarm. So if you've never done the Waterslides before, just make sure that your water isn't too cold or too hot. It just needs to be in between. And we will proceed with putting these papers into the water. They will curl once they go in there, but then they will flatten out once the water kind of soaks into them. So you do want to add a little bit of water onto your surface to make sure that it can easily glide on there. I've seen a lot of people use Windex. I've never used Windex. But I know it works pretty good for them because it helps them to be able to kind of shift their water slides around on their tumblers. But water has worked perfectly fine for me, so I haven't felt the need to use it, but it's definitely an option. So since we mirrored the image, that means we will be placing the image on backwards. I noticed that I needed to add more alcohol ink to the image, so I went ahead, while it was wet, I did add more alcohol ink on here. So if you are doing this method, I'm showing you now that it is okay to add more alcohol ink if you feel like you need to. Just take it right off, using your paper, of course, and then add more of the alcohol ink on there to make whatever part of the image you want to be more visible. That's what I feel like I needed to do in this instant, and then I kind of just blew on it a little bit to make it dry a little bit faster so the water didn't dry, and then I stuck it right back on the cup and it was perfectly fine. Okay, so besides using my hands, I also use a silicone brush to smooth out any wrinkles or any bubbles that may be underneath the images. It is a good rule of thumb to make sure that the silicone brush is a little wet, because it will help it to not rip the paper or make it bleed or anything like that. So I'm just using this brush now to make sure that anything that's underneath can come out. I also use a paper towel, which you will see it helps you dry it and then also helps you smooth out those images. Okay, so while my water slides are drying, I usually let them dry for about an hour or so, just to make sure that, you know, all the water is completely dried up and everything. But while that's drying, I am going to add the outer parts of the flame to this mold. I'm using, again, liquid split for this. And I will be adding in some black alcohol ink and also some silver glitter to kind of have a little sparkle to it. And again, this is my first time using this mold, so I mixed, I want to say 15 mLs of this. I could have used less. I ended up putting some in the middle of the mold because I wasn't 100% sure if I needed to use it or not, or if it was just a space filler for who created this mold. But I ended up not using that piece anyway, but I had some leftover resin, so it wasn't too big of a deal. If you see any bubbles in your mold, a good idea is to spray it with some alcohol. So you can see a little bit of white bubbles forming, and I went ahead and sprayed it with some 91% alcohol that I got from Amazon, and those bubbles went completely away. So now I'm going, or I'm starting to add some of that alcohol ink around the part of the cup where the candle is. So this part again is optional. If you wanted to keep it white, you can do that. I wanted to put some orange and a little bit of brown, the same colors that are in the image, on the bottom of the cup, which I will show you in just a second what that looks like. And then I am also going to add it on the top. So even though I will be adding a drip using a heat gun, I wanted that to be able to show up. So here's the bottom. You can see that it blends pretty well with the color of the candle. I used a sunset orange and mixed it with some brown. I added in a little bit of yellow in there to create the same exact color. But again, I'm doing the top part as well. And it's good for if you're using the heat gun or the glue gun, sorry. I got that tip from TikTok. If I know so many people may have seen that already with the black flame candle that a lot of people are doing. They're using the glue gun to add the drips on the cup, which I really love. Coming from someone who uses epoxy a lot to create drips, that was pretty easy and very quick. It dried pretty quick, and I was able to just go ahead and put my epoxy on top of that. But I wanted the background where that drip would be to have some color to it. If you wanted that to just be white, then that's perfectly fine as well. But I think the clear transparent glue shows up pretty good on a color other than white. So that's what I ended up doing. And here I'm just adding in a little bit of brown, and then I'll go back through and add some more orange, and then some yellow. You kind of have to play around with it to kind of get it to match the color or blend in how you want it to. So at first I was like, I don't know, it looks a little too dark, but in the end I actually ended up really loving it. Okay, so I let the alcohol ink dry, and now I'm just going to place my vinyl strips down each side of the cup, first placing the purple and then putting the black down the center. And after this, I will be adding another layer of the liquidy split. Okay, you guys, so I know I've added a lot, okay? I do. But I really wanted to add something in reference to the book on here. And I noticed that in the image that the book wasn't on there. Unless I really overlooked it, but regardless, I really wanted to add the eye to the bottom. So I just went ahead and printed this out on vinyl paper. So it's just vinyl sticker paper that I got from Amazon. So I went ahead and printed it, and then I'm just going to stick it on the bottom and then add the layer of liquidy split on top of that. So yeah, I know it's just another thing, but I feel like it definitely goes with the cup and it just kind of ties everything in together. And I've been a fan lately of just adding things to the bottom of the cups. So yeah, I think it was a good addition. So I decided to go ahead and like clean my rim up a little bit using an X-Acto knife and getting off any of that epoxy that may have gone over the lid before I actually add in those hot glue gun drips. Sorry that you aren't able to fully see exactly what I was doing on that part. I just randomly thought about doing it while I was recording, and then I used my I think it's 120 grit sanding block I got from Walmart to go ahead and try to, you know, clean up the edges as well before I went ahead and put that layer on there. Okay, so while we are waiting for that layer to dry, I'm now going to piece together this straw topper. I am using, what is it, E6000, I believe. Is that what it's called? I think so. I'm just overcautious on these pieces, so I just wanted to make sure that all of these pieces will fit on here. Exactly where they go. Especially when it's 4 pieces, you definitely have to make sure that it's on the correct side. I double checked, triple checked just to make sure before I actually glued it on there that it went to the spot that it's supposed to go. So the E6000 is definitely a good glue to glue these pieces together. It's still holding up very sturdy. I do use it for my other straw toppers that I sell on my Etsy shop. I make this custom clueless straw toppers, like 4 pieces as well, and people love it. I've sold plenty of them. I actually got the blank made from someone who has a glow forward, and I sell it in my shop. So I use this glue all the time to put those 4 pieces together. Also using one of my favorite tools, which is a plastic knife, to scrape that on here. And I kept getting out of view. I'm sorry. Like, I had my camera zoomed in and then kept forgetting. But I'm using my plastic knife to smear the glue on there. And as you've seen in my other videos, I do use that to add a drip to my cup. I just feel like if you're buying plastic silverware, the knives are like the last ones to go. So I feel like I would just put them to use, pretty much. Okay, so now that my cup is dry, I'm going to now add in those drips with my glue gun. I believe I got this from Michael's. And as a crafter, it's probably my least item that I purchased that I've used. I know a lot of people use a heat gun, and this is probably my second or third time maybe using it, I want to say. I don't really do too much. You know, I bought it thinking that I needed it for something, I believe. You know how we all do that as crafters. We buy things like, oh, I can use this, so I need this for that, and then you don't use it. Now I'm putting it to use, and I'm pretty sure I will be using this on a regular basis once I post this cup to my Etsy shop. But here I am putting these drips one by one down the cup. I'm gonna go all around on this side and then go back over it a couple more times to make it a little bit more fuller, of course. And I believe it having like the whole zigzag kind of a look to it does create that drip. It looks very clear now, but it will kind of turn into like a white look. Now, if you do want your drips to be a different color, you can use alcohol ink. And I know that because at one point I was like, maybe I should do them white. So I ended up putting white alcohol ink on one of my sponges and started it, but then I didn't like how it looked. So I just wiped it off with alcohol. So that's the option too. So if you wanted to see how something looked, just to kind of test it out, if you wanted the drips to be black or, you know, I've seen people do that with their black flame candles. So as you see here, the color did change once it dries. But yeah, like I was saying, if you want it to be a different color, you can definitely use some alcohol ink to color that. The black flame candle, I've noticed people just use the hot glue gun on the bare stainless steel cup before they spray paint it so that everything is the same color. That's a good look as well, but with the method that I've used with the Waterslides and everything, I kept debating on that because I didn't want the drips to be in the way of my Waterslide, and I didn't want my Waterslide to be too small either if my drips are too long, if that makes sense. So yeah, and then if you have any flyaways, like I was having there, you can just kind of wipe them off, kind of peel them up, because you know sometimes the glue gun can get a little stringy. So it's pretty easy to just kind of like pick them off of the cup and, you know, rip them so that there's not a bunch kind of floating around. If you guys haven't done so already, please give me a subscribe, a thumbs up if this helped you in any way. Also, if you have any questions or comments, of course, you can type them below and I will respond and help out with anything. I know I fast forward a lot in my videos, but I don't want to make a 2-hour long video doing these cups. So if I went a little too fast on any part, or if you have any question that I wasn't too clear on, please make sure that you ask below and I will respond to those. But again, please subscribe. So once this glue dries, I will be adding my final coat on this cup to seal in that waxy look. Usually when I do drips, for the most part, I don't add another layer on top of that. But considering that it is a glue gun, I don't want it to be able to be peeled up. So you do want to make sure that it's secure. And now here is the finished look. I'm so in love with it. There's the topper. You can see the candle and the drips. Here is the witch side of it. I love it. The glitter looks really good. And there's the eye from the book. It looks so great. And you can tell in the sun that that flame was starting to glow. And here is the glow. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love how this turned out.